In the 140 years since Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross, people have come together in innovative ways to serve and provide hope during emergencies. In 1889, when floods displaced thousands of people in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Clara set up our first shelters with the help of just 50 volunteers. This laid the groundwork for the Red Cross to become a leading relief organization, which now helps millions of people every year across the globe. Clara also supported those serving in our country's armed forces. During the Spanish-American War in 1898, the Red Cross recruited nurses to care for the troops. Ever since, Red Cross volunteers have remained a constant presence. From helping a deployed service member return home during a family emergency, to providing virtual stress-relieving workshops. And our work hasn't stopped there. By 1914, we began empowering people with critical first aid and water safety skills. Over the past century, these skills have saved countless lives. Today, people have life-saving information to use at their fingertips through the free Red Cross Emergency app. We've continued to adapt in other ways too. In 1941, Dr. Charles Drew pioneered the country's first blood program through the Red Cross, which now supplies about 40% of the nation's blood. And during the coronavirus pandemic, Red Cross donors stepped up to support new programs like donating convalescent plasma for the most seriously ill COVID-19 patients. We're proud of all that our volunteers and donors have accomplished in the past 140 years, along with the work of today's volunteers to chart the path forward for future generations. Because while we can't stop emergencies from happening, we can help ensure that people never face them alone. Join us to provide relief and care wherever it's needed, today and for years to come. Visit redcross.org to learn more.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Phil Driscoll, board member of the American Red Cross, serving the Piedmont Triad, in this year's event chair for Salute to Heroes. I'd like to begin by thanking our Salute to Heroes committee for hosting our event today. It's a pleasure for me to be here to help us celebrate and salute our hometown heroes, public servants who are out in our community every day, protecting and serving. The individuals we're going to recognize today are true heroes. Every day, they are leading the way for the rest of us. Every day, they answer the call to serve, to protect, to face danger head on, and to keep all of us safe and make our world and our community a better place. The American Red Cross is humbled to work side by side with American heroes, like the ones we'll be recognizing today. I'm sure you will find these heroes and their stories inspiring. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi everyone, I'm Gail Wells, past board member and currently serving on the Salute to Heroes committee. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors, beginning with individuals, organizations, and businesses. Without your continued support, the American Red Cross would not be able to do crisis control in our community. We also would like to show how grateful we are to our two presenting sponsors, Colonial Pipeline, who has been with us since 2011, the first event, and Reynolds American. This is their third year. We would also like to thank our media sponsor, WXII, who has made this event possible today. Your generosity helps the American Red Cross to be able to continue work in the Piedmont Triad area. So again, thank you so very much.
Colonial Pipeline Company is proud to support the American Red Cross Salute to Heroes event, which honors people in our community who perform extraordinary acts every day. Colonial values the partnerships we have with first responders in the communities that our pipeline traverses as part of our commitment to public safety. With this constant engagement, we get to see up close just how special the firefighters, police officers, and emergency management professionals are to our communities and the positive impacts they make. Specifically, in the Piedmont Triad area, we maintain a partnership with the Greensboro Fire Department, and in 2016, we were proud to donate a warehouse to store emergency response equipment and supplies. Colonial also salutes our military veterans. Approximately 20% of our workforce served our country in the armed forces. The contributions they make help our One Colonial team raise the bar every day. And thank you for joining Colonial Pipeline with your support of this worthy event.
When help is needed, they come to the rescue first. When disaster strikes, they run right toward it. When the future feels uncertain, they rebuild it. They are the heroes of our community, here to help and keep us safe day and night. We're proud to honor the extraordinary heroes in the communities where our employees live and work by partnering with the American Red Cross. Thank you from all of us at Reynolds American.
At first glance, this is just a group of people walking around Greensboro on a mid-September morning. But for Marine Chris Kirwan, this is about helping fellow veterans and about addressing a major problem on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, no less.
I signed up because of the wars that were instigated after what happened on September 11th, 20 years ago. And many of us also did that here. So we found it to be a really perfect fit for this day.
Kirwan is a Western Guilford grad who joined the Marines at age 19. He was a radio operator in a truck platoon in Afghanistan. Part of his job was to sweep for improvised explosive devices. He calls his service the greatest time of his life.
A lot of great memories came from there, a lot of hardships that made me into the person I am today.
He served almost 3 full years, and just a few weeks after entering civilian life, he was back at work and back at school.
Day-to-day life, post-Afghanistan is just really all about routines for me. It's important for me to stay in a routine. Once I get out of my routine is really where I start to feel the different struggles and the different things that we carried with us.
His post-war struggles got worse when he learned 2 of his fellow Marines had taken their own lives after they got out. Their names are etched into this bracelet.
In the Marine Corps, if somebody gets shot, you have a direct, you know what to do. When somebody commits suicide, you're lost.
Does the average person understand how challenging that time can be?
Probably not, but a lot of people can empathize. I know a lot of people who are just itching for an opportunity to help a veteran, but it's the veteran that has to choose the help.
That's where this walk comes in. It's called the Hump for the 22, and that number is significant. A 2012 VA report estimated 22 veterans died from suicide every day in the year 2010. These walkers, all veterans, spent this past September 11th walking 22 kilometers wearing 22-pound military packs. They have events like this all over the country. Since 2019, Chris is one of the local organizers.
We just talk about the old days. We just talk about whatever it is, sharing war stories, having a good time. And that community and that connectivity with veterans, it's irreplaceable. It's really what we're trying to find. Once we get out, it's what we need. We want to create an environment where veterans feel comfortable and that environment is always sacred amongst veterans.
Do you think this event has saved at least one life?
I hope so. And if it hasn't, I hope it's going to continue to. You never really know, right? Because the conversation that you have with somebody for 2 or 3 minutes might have been the conversation that walked them off the ledge, but they may have never told you.
For as long as he can remember, Mike Conrad has loved music. That's him playing the bass at church. For decades, he's played, he's sung, he's practiced, and he's loved it. But all of this is from before February of 2018. That's when he suffered a stroke during quadruple bypass surgery. Today, he's in a wheelchair with virtually no use of his left side and vision problems. A devastating turn for this Army veteran who served our country from 1975 to 1979. That's where his longtime friend Brian Mobley comes in.
Had to think of a way to bring him back into the circle of music.
Brian served in the Air Force and works with fellow veterans through the Lexington NC Works office. Despite all of his connections, he couldn't find any group or person making adaptive musical instruments for vets. So he decided to build one himself.
You've got to figure out how do you pluck the note, sustain the note, and change the notes. And so this was really a journey in trying to figure out how do we do that for a one-handed person.
It took a year, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of help. But eventually, this one-stringed diddly bow was born. That's Gary Miller playing it. He's a musician and a good friend of Brian and Mike's.
The trick to it is this little block right here with the metal slide in it. What it does, it just slides right on this guitar neck where it can't get away, and you just slide back and forth for your note.
In mid-September, Mike and his wife flew from Texas to North Carolina to visit their friends, receive the custom diddly bow, and learn how to play. Here's what happened.
Way up there.
Way up there.
Is that a smile I see, Mike?
That's a big smile.
That's a big smile.
It would take just a little bit of time to figure out where all the notes are. But once you get it figured out, you can just play anything like he was playing Amazing Grace. You got to find the first note.
How does it feel to have music back and have a new avenue toward playing again?
It's kind of like getting your breath back when you're out of wind.
How does it feel to be able to help your friend?
Well, that's just the way really veterans are. They don't leave anybody behind, they help each other. So that's all I know to say about that.
If it looks this treacherous on a warm, dry day, imagine what Greensboro's Buffalo Creek area looks like during a bad storm.
Is that a troublesome spot? Is that an area where
it can
you guys
be
typically see issues?
Yeah, they'll hydroplane and then run into the guardrail or something of that nature and wreck or slide around and run into the back of someone.
August 15th of 2020, Officer Eric Monroy was working a separate accident right here when he saw something even worse.
The individual or victim went off the guardrail and went down into the creek. And it was hard to locate them because they were in the creek upside down. Their car was so barely visible from the road.
Lieutenant Alex Ricketts says Officer Monroy immediately started making his way down toward the submerged car.
He had to climb over rocks and pointed rocks, so if he'd fell, it'd have been another injured person. But he actually was able to maneuver around the rocks, get down into the water, locate the vehicle, and he had to take off his gear and eventually got in the water and attempted to rescue the individual.
He wasn't alone for long. Another member of the Greensboro PD, whose identity we are keeping anonymous, was nearby at the time and also responded immediately.
They got in together. One went to one side and one went to the other. As they got in, the water was submerged above their chest. So they were really in deep water, running water, so it wasn't stagnant. And they went in and attempted to save the victim.
Sadly, she did not make it.
It hurts, disappointment, disheartening, but you know, we try to move on and try to make sure we help as many people as we can.
In the lieutenant's eyes and in the eyes of the Red Cross, their actions that day were no less heroic.
If they went above and beyond the call of duty, they could have waited to the fire department to get there. They had to, engage several difficult obstacles to attempt to rescue. They risked their own lives to save someone else, and that's all you can ask for.
Being a firefighter is dangerous work, everyone knows that. But even 20-year veteran C.J. Woody didn't realize until recently that one of the most dangerous parts of the job happens after the flames are out.
It was a badge of honor to have the dirty gear, to have the burn-up helmet. I mean, that was how people knew that you were a good, salty fireman or something like that.
In 2012, more than a decade into his tenure with the Greensboro Fire Department, C.J.'s wife found a spot on his back, so he got it checked out.
He looks at my back and I hear him go, He goes, well, I'm glad you're here. And I'm like, uh-oh. He goes, I'm 99.9% sure that's melanoma cancer. And I'm like, and that C word humbles you very, very quickly.
It also motivated him. He started looking at the disproportionate correlation between fire service and cancer.
Everything is permeable, so I mean, anything that any material that we have on can still seep through, especially in the neck and head and face areas is kind of our weakest link.
He knew he had to act, so he did, by going to a hardware store.
I had in my mind kind of what I wanted, and I sat on the floor and just pulled pipes and fittings and stuff off the shelves and had several of the workers there come and, hey, can we help you? I'm like, no, I got this. Just give me some time. I'll clean my mess up when I'm done. Yeah, just let me play a little bit.
It led to this, a simple shower head-like attachment that connects to the back of a fire truck. It enables a firefighter to rinse off their gear by themselves so they're contaminant-free and none of their colleagues are hit with any backsplash in the process. Every station in the city of Greensboro has one of these attachments. It's also being used in several other states and at least one other country. As far as CJ is concerned, his work in spreading this knowledge and this design is just beginning.
I don't consider myself a hero, and most firemen will say the same thing. I just want to help and just make a difference and, keep people safe and keep firefighters safe. And that's the ultimate goal for me.
Rebecca Swain loves her busy life. She gets to help people every day. If she had her choice, she'd be helping people through military service, like her father. Unfortunately, her type 1 diabetes made that decision for her.
I couldn't serve in the military, couldn't serve in the same way that my dad did, so I wanted to find any other way to serve the, others.
And she has. Shortly after college, she worked with NC Serves, a network of providers that assists veterans with everything from food and utility bills to mental health services.
We refer them out to the providers so that they don't have to call a bunch of places and track down the resources on their own. They're able to just tell us their story once, because sometimes that's the hardest part for the veteran, is opening up and asking for help. I still keep in contact with a couple of veterans that I, got to mental health and helped them along the way just to check in with them because I developed that bond and that relationship with them.
While she was doing that full-time, she was also doing this full-time, working as a Guilford County EMT. She did both for about a year. One call in particular stands out.
We had a suicidal teenager that I was able to use my counseling degree that I have, and I made that connection with her, and she and I just sat and talked, and she was able to, kind of spill everything on the way to the hospital.
Last year, she was at a crossroads, not sure if she should take her training to the next level and apply for the rigorous Guilford County Paramedic Academy, the top tier of life-saving services the county offers. Her mom urged her to go for it.
She pushed me and she was like, the worst they can say is no, but so I did it, and she ended up passing it on October 18th, so the middle of October, and then literally like 2 weeks later I found out.
Rebecca had been accepted.
And as soon as I read that email, the first person I wanted to call was her. Because, my husband's always supportive too, but she's the one that really pushed me and said, you need to do this for you and for the people that you serve.
Between her duties as an advanced EMT, her studies to be a paramedic, plus being a wife and a mom, she says she doesn't sleep a whole lot, but she loves her life. She's a helper and a hero.
That's not a word I'd use to describe myself, obviously, but it makes me proud.
It's a simple fact. Most little kids, and especially most little girls, love horses. Jan Clifford was one of those little girls growing up in Wisconsin. Now they're her life's work in High Point.
You can see connections between horses and people and any person that comes out here. Everybody finds a place, I think. Whatever they are feeling, the horse can mirror that and help them through their struggles.
She owned a horse boarding facility in Texas, but when she moved to North Carolina in 1994, she started learning about groups that took horses and matched them up with people with disabilities.
It was like I caught something. I just knew that was my purpose in life.
Today, she's the founder and executive director of Horsepower, a nonprofit therapeutic learning center that sits on 43 acres and has 20 horses ready to help anyone.
We were working with a population of kids that have been abused, and they connect quicker than anything because they're looking for some way to connect. They've been hurt, they've been abused, they've been neglected, and that horse doesn't care about what's happened in the past.
They custom tailor sessions for children with autism and other emotional and physical challenges. They also have programs for veterans.
It's just a natural fit because the veterans have done so much for us, for our freedom, for our life, for everything, our lifestyles, and we are constantly looking for ways to help people. We had a gentleman out here today with a service dog, and he couldn't wait to bring his dog to meet his horse, and he was just thrilled that they loved each other.
She says it's hard to choose a favorite success story.
I could start telling about the child who the parents said, the doctor said there's no brain activity that cued her horse to walk on. I could tell you about the little boy who the parents said that would never speak, who said walk on. I could tell you about the kids who weren't going to walk that walk, and it's just every day we see miracles.
Miracles brought about by a hero.
I think I'm just lucky. I'm lucky that I have such a job that gives me so much pleasure, that I'm lucky to be involved with these wonderful volunteers, the horses, the students, the parents, even the donors, people that give us the horses. They love to come out and see their horses and doing such great things.
It was one of the worst stories we covered in 2018. 5 children killed in an apartment fire on Summit Avenue in Greensboro. The family was from the Congo in Central Africa.
They fled their home country and they were in refugee camp first, and so they've experienced a lot of trauma. Coming to America, they felt as if, they had a new start and the trauma would be done.
Guilford Metro Communications.
Jeri Phillips has been a 911 dispatcher in Greensboro for the last 6 years.
My best friend took that call and talked to that person, and I love her, and I know it just broke her heart. It breaks my heart to talk about it.
Through the grief, she was determined to make it easier for people in her line of work to help non-English speakers.
They don't know they can call. They don't know that we can get an interpreter. that speaks their language. You know, they're coming from countries where the police are bad. The police are the people who they are trying to get away from. So they don't know that the police are someone that they can reach out to.
She developed a plan where emergency responders would go to immigrant communities in non-emergency situations regularly to build trust, and set out to teach as many non-English speakers as possible to be able to explain their type of emergency, their address, their preferred language, and other basic English words.
All of my coworkers are very receptive. I've got a ton of people that are just like, when this is set up and when it's ready, let me know. I want to help.
Unfortunately, the pandemic has delayed this initiative, but her commitment to it is as strong as ever.
They need basic help that Americans take for granted, like calling 911 and getting help when they need it.
The American Red Cross says you're a hero. What do you think about that?
I don't know about that.
Why not?
I'm doing what anyone would do that is in my situation. If anyone saw what I saw, they would do exactly what I'm doing.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Hughes, Executive Director of the American Red Cross, serving the Piedmont Triad. Thank you for joining us today for our Salute to Heroes virtual event. Those were the 2021 Piedmont Triad Heroes, extraordinary people who have made a tremendous difference for our community and for our country. Thank you, 2021 Piedmont Triad Heroes, for all you have done to protect our freedoms and to make the Piedmont Triad a safer and more caring community in which to live. We are now at the end of our program. However, I do want to let you all know that shortly after this program closes, our nomination period for 2022 Salute to Heroes will open. And we are excited to announce that our 2022 Salute to Heroes event will be held at the historic Millennium Center, a nationally known special events center. The elegant Millennium Ballroom has hosted stunning weddings, galas, and corporate events. Visit our website, redcross.org/Piedmont Triad Heroes for more information about our 2022 event, the nomination process, and deadlines. Please share broadly so we can continue this tradition of recognizing heroic actions, large or small, in the Piedmont Triad. We appreciate every one of our heroes, everyone who was nominated, our sponsors, our volunteers, and all those who supported this event. Thank you all for joining the American Red Cross today to salute our local heroes.